I now have everything I need. Writing the script. Everybody saw the car. That's what happened. The Truffade Thrax came sliding onto the screen, and people immediately lost their minds over the obvious things. The headlights bouncing off wet asphalt. The speed. The neon smearing through the windshield. Vice City at night looking absolutely obscene. But while everyone was watching the car, almost nobody was watching what the game was actually doing around the car. Because there are at least 4 things happening in and around this driving footage that have nothing to do with how good the reflections look. There's a possible vehicle tracking system that could mean a stolen car follows you home even after the police lose sight of you. There are traffic cameras that may or may not be purely decorative. There's a minimap zone that re-triggers a wanted level when Jason drives back through it, because the police apparently remembered not just that a crime happened, but where it happened, what Jason looks like, and what car he took. And then you have all the earlier footage sitting underneath all of this. Clone key, smash window, NPC drivers who don't just step aside, which, when you connect it to this newest clip, starts telling a very different story about what stealing a car in GTA 6 might actually mean. The game named Grand Theft Auto may finally be doing something interesting with Grand Theft Auto. If you're the kind of person who spends time going frame by frame through leaked footage at 2 in the morning, and you know exactly who you are, subscribe. I cannot keep up with this community right now. People are finding details in individual frames faster than I can sleep. So subscribe, and let's get into this properly. The footage shows Jason in Vice City, nighttime, ditching a pickup truck somewhere near what appears to be the airport area. He approaches a Truffade Thrax sitting in the road, and for people who don't recognize the name, the Thrax was already in GTA Online back in 2019. Rockstar's take on a Bugatti-style hypercar, wide and low and completely ridiculous in the best possible way. Seeing it in a GTA 6 development build is something else. But the car isn't the interesting part. What's interesting is what happens before Jason gets in it. He smashes the window. The car is locked. The driver is inside, and Jason smashes the window to get access. You're actually mashing a button to pull this person out of the seat, and according to everything that's been analyzed from the footage, that process drains Jason's stamina. The driver is resisting. It takes effort, and presumably the longer the struggle goes on, the more visible and noisy the whole thing is. That single moment tells you something. In GTA 5, and I say this with genuine love for GTA 5, carjacking someone is functionally the same animation every time. You walk up, you yank, they fly out, you drive away. It doesn't matter if it's a clapped out Dinka or a $1 million supercar. The interaction is identical. What you see in this clip is different. The resistance is physical, it costs something, and the implication from earlier footage makes it even more layered than that. Because this isn't the first time vehicle entry mechanics have shown up in the leaked material. An earlier clip, not the hypercar footage, an earlier one, caught people's attention when Jason approached a locked vehicle and got 2 distinct options: clone key and smash window. That was in a different clip from a few days before the Thrax footage appeared. Clone key was grayed out in the footage, which Insider Gaming noted could indicate the option requires specific tools, skills, or preparation to use. Smash window was available immediately, loud, fast, obvious. Clone key, when available, appears to be the quiet route. You're not breaking glass. You're not setting off anything. You're essentially walking up to the car and opening it like you own it. Think about what that means for a second. GTA 5 gave you one way to take a car that wasn't yours. You go and you take it. That's the mechanic. That's been the mechanic for decades. GTA 6 appears to be giving you at least 2 approaches for locked vehicles, with different risk profiles, different resource costs, and potentially different consequences depending on which you choose. Smash window is faster but louder and probably more visible. Clone key is cleaner but requires something: preparation, a tool, a skill point. We don't know exactly what yet. That distinction alone is a genuine change to how the game thinks about vehicle theft. And now connect that to the traffic cameras. PC Gamer spotted what appears to be traffic cameras in the new hypercar footage, the kind mounted on poles at intersections. The kind that exist in real cities specifically to monitor vehicle movement. The obvious question is whether these are set dressing, or whether they actually interact with anything. And I want to be honest here, we don't know. They could be entirely decorative. Plenty of GTA games have had environmental details that look functional and do nothing. But given everything else the footage is showing about how Rockstar is thinking about vehicle identification, it's a question worth sitting with. Because if police in GTA 6 are already tracking your face, your clothing, and your car, then a camera network that feeds into that system would make enormous logical sense. The Wanted system itself is where things start genuinely connecting. Underneath the Wanted stars in the HUD, multiple clips across the entire leak wave have shown 3 icons sitting together. What observers are describing as a clothes hanger a face, and a vehicle silhouette. Kotaku, Insider Gaming, PC Gamer, Game Rant. Everyone who's analyzed this footage has landed in roughly the same place. The working theory, and it's a very reasonable one based on what's visible, is that these icons represent the three things police are using to identify Jason: his clothing, his face, his car. Police can apparently recognize your face, your clothing, and your getaway car, but if you change them, you can potentially lower your wanted level. And the hypercar footage specifically demonstrates this in action. After taking several turns, Jason ends up back near where he stole the Thrax. That area is marked red on the minimap, because the police in that zone know about the reported crime. They know Jason's clothes, his face, and the car he's in. So even after losing the cops entirely, he immediately gets a 2-star wanted level again. That is a completely different concept from GTA 5's wanted system. In GTA 5, if you get out of the red circle and stay out for a few seconds, you're done. The cops move on. Their memory effectively resets. What GTA 6 appears to be doing is tying the wanted level to information, what officers in a specific zone know about a specific crime, rather than just your physical proximity to police at a given moment. That's a subtle distinction, but it has enormous gameplay implications. If the police remember that a crime happened in a specific area, and they remember what the suspect looked like and what they were driving, then returning to that area in the same car wearing the same clothes isn't safe anymore. The logic of the system follows you, and that changes how you think about evasion. You're not just running from the heat, you're managing information. Which brings us to the vehicle tracker. The interpretation from PC Gamer is that it looks like a vehicle recovery system similar to LoJack, meaning that if you steal a car with one of these devices, and don't keep moving, cops might show up at your location even if you don't currently have any wanted stars. Again, this is an interpretation of what's visible in the footage. It is not a confirmed mechanic. But if that reading is correct, then a parked stolen car becomes a liability in a way that GTA has never modeled before. Think about what that means for the fantasy of stealing a really nice car. You see a hypercar. You clone the key, nobody sees you do it, you get in quietly, no witnesses, no broken glass, no immediate wanted level. Great. But the car has a tracker, so as long as you're in that vehicle, someone with access to that tracking signal knows where it is. Maybe you can find the tracker and remove it. Maybe there's a tracker jammer in the older 2022 development document that the community compiled, and that document did reference specific tools including Immobilizer Bypass, Slim Jim, Tracker Jammer, Auto Dialer, among others, though those details came from a much earlier build and their current status is genuinely unknown. But the concept points towards something interesting. In GTA 5, the danger of stealing a car is entirely front-loaded. It's in the moment of theft. Once you've got the car and broken contact, you're essentially free. What the new footage suggests Rockstar might be building is a system where the danger can be backloaded too. A stolen vehicle with a tracker is a problem you carry with you. That's a different kind of tension. And it connects back to those traffic cameras, doesn't it? If you're driving a tracked vehicle through a camera network that feeds into the identification system, then moving at speed through the city might not be the clean escape it appears to be. You might be leaving a digital trail, a record of where the vehicle went. Whether that's actually simulated in GTA 6 or whether I'm connecting dots that aren't connected, I genuinely don't know. But it's a coherent picture, and it's a picture that looks nothing like GTA 5. Now let's talk about the driving itself, because I don't want to reduce this clip to pure systems analysis when there's also something worth saying about what the actual act of driving looks and feels like. The vehicle movement in the footage shows what multiple observers have described as more weight than GTA 5. The car sits differently, the camera responds to the road. Suspension movement is visible over surface changes. Based on community analysis, the cars appear to have more weight and realism compared to GTA 5, with some comparing the feel closer to GTA 4 than the previous entry. I want to be careful here because you genuinely cannot evaluate a final handling model from 2 minutes of development footage, but the impression is there. The car feels like it has mass. Personally, this is where I land. GTA 5 found a more accessible feel that worked brilliantly for an open world but sometimes made vehicles feel a bit weightless and consequence-free. If GTA 6 can find the middle of that, physical enough to feel meaningful, responsive enough to be fun, it should be the best driving in the series. That's my expectation, not a confirmed outcome. The most visually striking element in the footage is the lighting tech. Throughout the video, light cast by the hypercar's headlights reflects believably off puddles, road signs, and reflective markers, providing impressive contrast and visual texture as the landscape blurs by. The road reflectors react as the car passes them, the intensity changing with distance and angle. At one point, Jason stops near a water puddle and does a burnout, showing water reflections, smoke, and water droplets flying into the air. These aren't just graphical flex moments. They're telling you that the environment is reacting dynamically to the vehicle's presence, which matters for how driving feels. E-scooters are also visible parked at a charging station in the footage, which has been noted as confirming their existence in the game. The traffic density is another thing people have commented on. The footage shows extended driving through the city with dense traffic, detailed streets, realistic vehicle movement, and highly detailed environments. A blue light flashes when passing patrol cars, signifying police awareness, and a red border appears on the radar, indicating a zone that triggers an immediate wanted level. They're telling you that the police have active spatial memory about where crimes occurred, and they're patrolling those zones with purpose. Now here's the NPC driver resistance thing, because I think this is underrated in most of the coverage I've read. At the beginning of the clip, Jason attempts to pull an NPC out of their car. The NPC actively resists, requiring the player to repeatedly press a button to fully drag them out. In GTA 5, the person in the seat is essentially a prop with sound effects. They scream, they fall out, they run away. They occasionally take a swing at you before giving up. The interaction is scripted and brief. If GTA 6 has NPCs that physically resist carjacking, that turns the theft itself into a small encounter rather than an animation. Fans suspect that stronger NPCs or gang members could put up significantly more of a fight when players attempt to steal their vehicles. That unpredictability is valuable. If you're escaping a police chase and you need to switch vehicles, approaching someone's car becomes a slightly uncertain proposition. Will they freeze, run, fight, lock the door, try to drive away? You don't know, and not knowing changes how you approach it. Stealing a car stops being a guaranteed outcome you casually execute between other things. It becomes an event with a result you're not fully controlling. According to PC Gamer, it seems like Jason has the ability to mash a button more quickly and forcefully pull the driver from the vehicle and stamina, and presumably a higher chance of the crime being noticed. So there's a cost-benefit calculation happening even within the carjacking animation. Do it aggressively, and you're faster but louder and you burn stamina. Do it more carefully and it takes longer. That's a real game design decision. That's not decoration. Let me talk about fuel, because this is the mechanic that splits the community in half every time it comes up. Once Jason is inside a truck in an earlier clip, two icons can be seen that appear to represent vehicle damage and fuel, which has been taken as a potential indication that both mechanics could play a role in GTA 6. A separate clip also appears to confirm fuel levels as a visible element in the HUD. Now, and I want to say this clearly, a fuel gauge appearing in a development build does not mean the final game definitely has fuel mechanics. This is a build that insiders including Nate have indicated is likely from 2025 or thereabouts. Systems get cut. Interfaces get redesigned. What you see in leaked footage from an older build is not a feature list, it's a design direction at a specific moment in development. But let's engage with the idea on its merits. But if fuel is contextually relevant, if stealing a vehicle that's nearly empty creates a genuine crisis in the right moment, if running out during a long drive has narrative weight without being a constant chore, then it could be one of those details that makes the world feel more alive without actually being annoying most of the time. The line between those two outcomes is very thin and entirely dependent on tuning. Rockstar has had decades to think about this. I trust them to know where that line is more than I trust most developers, but it's the mechanic that could go either way. Zoom out for a second. Let's look at what this driving footage, combined with everything from the broader clip wave, is actually describing. GTA 5 made crime accessible. You want a car, you take a car. You want a gun, you buy a gun. You want to cause chaos, you cause chaos. The friction is minimal because minimal friction is fun. That's a legitimate design philosophy and GTA 5 executed it brilliantly. But what the leaked footage appears to suggest is that GTA 6 is adding layers without necessarily adding friction. At least, that's the hope. Clone Key vs Smash Window isn't added friction if both options are available and usable. It's added texture. It's the difference between one way to do something and two ways, each with their own implications. NPC resistance isn't added friction if the confrontation is brief and readable. It's added unpredictability. The identification system tracking your face, clothes, and car isn't friction if changing any of those things is accessible and logical. It's added strategy. The tracker isn't friction if you can find and remove it, or if avoiding trackers becomes part of how you choose which vehicle to steal. It's a layer. The difference between friction and depth is whether the game gives you tools to engage with the system or just obstacles to endure. From what we're seeing, Rockstar appears to be building tools. You have entry options. You have evasion options. You have identification to manage. You have physical territory to understand. What you do with those tools is where the interesting gameplay lies. And then here's the thing that I keep coming back to. Sportskeeda pointed out something that sounds simple but is genuinely important about the minimap in the hypercar footage. The area where Jason stole the car is marked red on the minimap, because the police in that area know about the reported crime and know Jason's clothes, his face, and the car he stole, which is why even after losing the cops entirely, he immediately gets a 2-star wanted level again upon returning. That is the system working as a coherent simulation of how policing would actually function. Word got out about what happened. Officers in that zone receive the description. When the description matches what they see, they respond. The magic circle that used to disappear once you drove out of range hasn't disappeared. It's attached to the information the police have, not just to your body in space. Now, could we be over-analyzing some of this? Yes, absolutely yes. Give GTA fans 3 pixels and we'll build a 40-page document. Some of what looks like a tracker indicator might be something else entirely. Some of what looks like a camera might be an unpowered prop. Some mechanics visible in this development build might have been quietly removed months ago. The clone key being grayed out might mean it's permanently unavailable in this context. Or it might mean the feature wasn't implemented yet in this version. We don't know. And I'd rather admit that than pretend certainty where none exists. But here's why I'm still genuinely excited about what this footage is showing. When multiple separate clips, across multiple days, from what appears to be the same development build, keep returning to the same themes, vehicle entry methods, identification tracking, NPC awareness, environmental monitoring, it stops feeling like coincidence. It starts feeling like design intent. Rockstar is clearly thinking about the car as something more than a vehicle. They're thinking about it as an object inside a crime simulation. It has an owner. It might have a tracker. It has identifiable characteristics. Stealing it creates information in the world that doesn't simply vanish when the police animation resets. That's the actual generational shift buried inside 2 minutes of driving footage, not the graphics, not the reflections in the puddles. The fact that Vice City at night, from behind the wheel of a stolen hypercar, feels like a world that's keeping track of what you're doing and remembering it. That the police aren't just a response mechanic. They're a consequence of accumulated information. That the car you're driving isn't just transportation. It's evidence. GTA has been named Grand Theft Auto since 1997. For most of that time, the Grand Theft Auto part was essentially a loading screen for the actual game. Drive here, shoot this. Fly there, come back. The car might finally be the point.